religious town, and I don't know why that's an issue, but it's not for me.
I don't want to put us in a situation where Newfoundland is seen as behind or not up to speed.
Our program is really, about accepting one another, supporting one another, spreading kindness.
The fact that they have pulled their kids from the program is evidence that programs like that need to still be happening.
Another rural town under fire tonight for not showing support for the LGBTQ community.
Parents on the Bayvert Peninsula keeping their kids away from a school talk about inclusion and acceptance.
Good evening, I'm Debbie Cooper.
And I'm Anthony Germain. Middle Arm on the Bayvert Peninsula is at the center of controversy as many parents at MSB Regional Academy decided to hold their kids back from school.
They didn't want their children attending a presentation about inclusion and acceptance at the school yesterday. 13 of the 30 students booked for the presentation showed up. It is organized by a group called Get Real and was brought to the school by a provincial grant announced in February.
Well, the school board says the presentation aligns with its safe and inclusive schools policy, but some parents didn't want their children attending for religious reasons. We were in Middle Arm today and spoke to a couple of parents who are disappointed with that decision.
It was a beautiful town and one of the most beautiful places to live, as you can see.
Would you be opposed to having something like this, a diversity presentation given to some of your children?
I'm not opposed, and maybe perhaps they should actually just talk to parents first, and maybe they would feel different about it.
It was granted from the government, so to me, I think it was okayed before it came here. All I know is it's blown out of proportion, and it's got a lot of different feelings hurt, and I certainly hope that people come together and resolve it, because small communities don't need this. We need to come together and be as one, not have hurtful feelings.
That's the scene in Middle Arm. So how are advocates in the LGBTQ community reacting to all of this? We asked our Terry Roberts to find out today, and he joins us live from Mount Pearl, where a meeting is taking place this evening to discuss ways to combat prejudice and promote acceptance. Terry?
Well, yes, Debbie, this meeting here tonight was previously planned, but it's timely nonetheless. And as you can see, the library here has rolled out the welcome mat for the LGBTQ community. We have a selection of books here on the issue, and also the now famous rainbow crosswalk as you enter the library. But there's no question about it, there's a lot of disappointment and concern over this latest incident in central Newfoundland. I spoke to the leader of a St. John's group today who helps parents and their children deal with the coming out process, and he said this incident is further proof that this Get Real program that's created this controversy in Middle Arm is sorely needed in all of our schools, and he had this message for the parents who pull their children out of classes.
I would say reflect on why you're upset or why you feel that fear. Kind of look into like an interior of why you're scared of it. Do some research, do some reading, ask your kid if they actually feel the same way, because like honestly we do a lot of projecting onto our children and the youth, so I would like for those parents and those individuals to kind of reflect and just be like, you know what, that's not the way we should be treating each other. We should be coming from an understanding of love and respect and kind of grow with each other and not put up those barriers.
Now, this Get Real program is fully supported by the school board, as you mentioned earlier, and it's meant to try to break down prejudice, promote unity and foster compassion. But Charles Murphy says this reaction by the parents in Middle Arm, he's called it a little bit scary.
If I would have heard that when I was younger, I probably would have taken even longer to come out as being bisexual. So the concept of someone saying a gay class not going to it kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Terry, this isn't the first controversial issue like this in central Newfoundland in recent weeks.
Well, that's right. I mean, people are still talking about the conflict in Springdale, for example, where the council refused to allow a rainbow crosswalk to be painted in that town. Now here we have what really is a conflict between what many see as their parental rights, in many cases their religious beliefs, and the right of students as they prepare to make their way in the world. Now, I spoke to a university professor today who said parents need to just trust their children.
The strength of our communities is based on how we're able to pull together and build the world together, right? And if you're in If you're not reaching out to people, if you're not finding ways to include people, then you lose their strengths, you lose the things that they have to offer the community, and we all have so much to offer each other.
I find with rural Newfoundland, like that's where a lot of this backlash is coming from, and I don't know if it's because they're smaller communities that don't really get the same kind of support that St. John's in general does, because it's the capital. So it could be the fact like they're just not getting the proper funding to kind of get more education out there, to get an understanding.
Now, with all this as a backdrop, you can be sure that the discussion at this meeting here tonight will be even more relevant. And by the way, tomorrow is International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Terry Roberts in Mount Pearl.
The organizer of the Get Real seminar says it teaches inclusion and diversity, and it isn't only about LGBTQ issues. In about 25 minutes, we'll have my interview with her about the program and her reaction to the story.
A renewed push for the provincial government to provide universal coverage of the abortion pill. Local advocates, including Planned Parenthood, are joining forces to put the pressure on. I'll tell you how coming up.
All right, Carolyn Stokes, obviously in reporter mode tonight. She was doing this guy's job yesterday. Good to have you back.
Great to be back, and thanks to Stokesy for pinch hitting for me.
You could see by her stand-up there, beautiful sunshine today, but a lot cooler than it was yesterday.
For sure, but she did deliver a couple of great days. I've got some other news in terms of a little bit of snow in the mix, believe it or not, tonight and through tomorrow. Lasers pointed at me through many television sets right now. Let's have a look at the weather on the way headlines. Yeah, it is not a widespread area that has a chance to see some snow through the overnight tonight in through tomorrow, but it's in the mix for tonight into Thursday for the Corner Brook region up towards Grossmore in the Northern Peninsula and southeastern Labrador. We'll show you that in just a second. The good news is we're clearing out for Friday. That'll carry us into the weekend with a bit of sunshine on the menu as well. And we, of course, are tracking that long weekend forecast. Not going to be dry for the whole thing. We do have a system that's going to be tracking through for the weekend, and we'll nail that down in a little more detail. And coming up, of course, we'll have more details on this. That is, again, the snow zone. Northwestern Newfoundland, southeastern parts of Labrador. We'll track out your forecast in complete detail in just a few minutes. Anthony?
How long are people in Newfoundland and Labrador waiting for health services?
Waits in some areas could be up to even a couple of years.
In addition to the 2 years I've already waited, I have 2 more years to wait.
That story tomorrow on Here and Now.
Stricter rules were announced for cabbies across the province today, all in an effort to make the industry safer. But some are disappointed, saying these new regulations still don't do enough to screen would-be taxi drivers. Ariana Kellen is on this story tonight, and she joins us live now from downtown St. John's. So Ariana, what changes are being brought in?
Well, there are a number of changes coming to the industry, one being that a driver can have their license hauled away if they do have a conviction for a driving-related offense. So if a driver continuously speeds or breaks the law while driving, they could temporarily lose their license and their livelihood. But if a driver, say, has a conviction for sexual assault, well, that's a different story. They're in positions of trust, transporting some of the most vulnerable people. So when the province announced regulations for taxi drivers, it was seen as a positive move for an at times tarnished industry.
From the standpoint of the industry, the changes are very welcomed. It gives something we wanted back into this industry, is a certain standard that all drivers must meet.
Those new standards include mandatory written and driving training for all new cabbies. New drivers will have to hold a license for 2 years before they can work. Licenses can be pulled for criminal code convictions related to driving or Highway Traffic Act convictions related to bodily harm or death. And there will also be new inspection requirements. What's not included, a requirement for a criminal background check.
Because the taxi industries, the taxi companies are doing it themselves. You know, they've taken ownership of that requirement.
But not all. A year and a half ago, a CBC producer was able to get a job without that background check. That sparked talks between government and the City of St. John's. And after this cab driver was arrested for sexually assaulting passengers, both sides agreed more oversight is needed.
It makes more sense for the province to do it. We're disappointed that it wasn't included in this round. We're very disappointed we weren't consulted on this, and we hope that that the minister will be able to see the way to making this change.
Linda Ross also wanted to see mandatory background checks brought in.
At times, there are individuals who are in taxis for an hour and a half, by themselves, and so, the feeling is that certainly having those kinds of checks would be a critical piece that would add one more element to what we consider to be passenger safety.
But it's clear not all drivers want to be lumped together, and that one bad apple shouldn't spoil the bunch. Now, in speaking with Jiffy Cabs and Newfound Cabs today, it was clear that this was a very good day for them. They are adamant that they seek out really good drivers who all provide criminal background checks. And as George Murphy of Jiffy Cabs told me today, if the city and the province want to argue over criminal background checks, they can go ahead and do it, but he says his company will stay the course. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Ariana Kelland.
The province's Health Research Ethics Authority is defending its work following criticism from researchers claiming that the regulator's decisions have been unfair. In an email to CBC News, the research regulator says it's confident the Health Research Ethics review process is sound. A St. John's-based biotech company, Sequence Bio, has described the regulator as broken. The company is calling on the province to replace the current authority with an outside independent regulator. But the authority says it's crucial that it remains independent from the influence of the provincial government and that the public has faith in its decisions.
Overly cautious. That's how DFO's approach to the recreational salmon fishery is being described by one outdoors group. Tony Chubbs is president of the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. He says DFO's annual salmon counts show plenty of fish in most Labrador rivers. And historically, that's meant they've had higher catch rates than in Newfoundland. But Chubbs says this year, DFO is imposing the same limits throughout the province, and it will hurt outfitters in particular.
Had a catch and release of 4 fish last year. So in the northern zone now it's gone down to 3 as it has everywhere else in the province. That is a poor selling item for any outfitters trying to attract anybody to come to Labrador and tell them they're only allowed to angle 3 fish. But we have the salmon stocks to show that we can actually angle more than that.
Well, spirits are high at the Newfoundland Distillery Company in Clark's Beach. Their seaweed gin won a double gold medal at the very prestigious San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Scoring double gold means every single judge awarded first place. The company also won a silver medal for its Cloudberry gin.
2 engineering students from St. John's make quite an impression while interning at Tesla in the U.S. The company's CEO, Elon Musk, was apparently so impressed with their problem-solving skills that he personally offered them a job. Here Now's Peter Cowan has more.
Mark Como and Matthew Lane are engineering students from Newfoundland, but they were down in the United States working for Tesla. The electric car company has had lots of problems with its Model 3 production line, and the pair noticed something that they were able to fix. It wasn't even an area they were supposed to be working on, so they pitched a solution, and that got the attention of Elon Musk, the founder of the company.
Once we had figured it out and got it up and running reliably there, he came by and he had us walking through it, and probably one of the most unnerving experiences ever because, you know, the CEO of a company, and here we are, just 2 interns, and he's basically like, yep, you got to stay.
Musk hired them as professional problem solvers. They're going to have to figure out where the slowdowns are in the car production line and find out a way that the company can produce more cars. They got to speak to Musk 3 times over the course of their internship. They never expected anything like this would happen, especially as 2 young guys from Newfoundland.
Again, being from Newfoundland, and you know, I'm from like a small town at around the bay, and it's just kind of crazy to go down there and have this experience. So again, it's just kind of disbelief.
Como's starting work with the company right away, but Lane still has another semester of school he needs to finish up, but he's promised to keep helping the company before he can move down at the end of the summer. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
I should have done more, and I failed as a father, I think, not fighting enough for that system. Then that system took my son's life.
Just ahead, some of the harshest critics of the province's child protection laws weigh in on the province's plans to enhance them. Join CBC NL at the annual Trail Raiser in support of the East Coast Trail Association on Saturday, June the 2nd. Enjoy some of the beauty our coastal trails have to offer and be part of a great cause. Buses will be available for pickup and drop-off. For more information, visit eastcoasttrail.com. The province's new legislation for the child protection system is a stark contrast to the current law, with the minister calling it life-changing. Here Now's Megan McCabe has been talking to some of the system's harshest critics today, and she joins us live now from our newsroom. So Megan, what do the critics think?
There's a definite sense of optimism that finally some of the problems with child protection are being dealt with, but it's a cautious optimism. Consensus among the people that I talk to with intimate knowledge of what families, children, and youth in care go through is clear. What this legislation lays out for Indigenous families and older youth is a massive improvement. But the proof will be in the pudding, so to speak. The actual resources will make or break whether or not our province's vulnerable children and youth are better off.
This is the legislation. Now what has to follow next are all of the policies and the regulations as well. And that's going to be really important because that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where we see what those details look like. And so we'll be following that as well.
Now, Megan, the Child and Youth Advocate has visited some of the most affected Indigenous communities in Labrador. What does she think about the impacts for Indigenous families?
She says this legislation is promising for sure, especially for the Innu, considering their tragedies led to a public inquiry this fall into Innu children in foster care. I also spoke with Simeon Jacopesh, whose 16-year-old son, Thunderheart, killed himself after Jacopesh and his wife went to Child, Youth and Family Services for help dealing with Thunderheart's addictions. Well, here's a longer piece of my interview with Jacopesh from earlier this afternoon.
As people, we wanted to see this, as the elders always keep reminding us that we have to be part of the youth lives. We have to teach them about our culture, our language, who they are as children, and that's very, very important today because we've seen a lot of misguided programs that have been implemented and forced upon the young people and the parents to which they don't know nothing about the European culture. And I believe my son cried for help back in 2016. He said that he wrote her mom that he in Boxer, he said, I'm going to read it to you. He said, I wanted to go home already. I feel like I'm losing my language. I feel so homesick. Mom, please, I just want to be home. I don't like it here. I just want to be home with you guys. I want to live like an Innu boy. And I don't want to live like a white boy. Mom, please ask my social worker. I just want to go home. I've been down for a couple of days and started not to eating. I just want to go home. And that's a big statement from Innu Charter right. And I'm going to have to carry that the rest of my life. And it's been hard and it's been difficult every morning remembering him. I should have done more and I failed as a father, I think, not fighting enough for that system. That system took my son's life, and then that system killed his dream. And I certainly hope the parents don't go through what we went through, what we are going through as we speak today.
The department's solution for Thunderheart was to send him far, far away for treatment. And Jacopesh sees the impacts of the current child protection system in his community every day. And he says that they're really looking forward to working with the government under this new legislation. Debbie?
Thanks very much. That's our Megan McCabe reporting for us live this evening. Memorial University's Medical Students Society is once again lobbying government for universal coverage of the abortion pill. But this time, they're joining forces with other advocates and healthcare professionals. Here now's Carolyn Stokes joins us live with more. Carolyn, the students met with the health minister in March, but what kind of approach are they taking now?
Well, Debbie, it seems they're looking for strength in numbers. They sent this letter to the Premier and the health minister that was bolstered by the support of about a dozen other medical professionals and groups like the Pharmacists Association, the Newfoundland and Labrador Medical Association, the Faculty of Medicine, and Planned Parenthood. Now, they all want universal coverage of the abortion pill called Mifegymiso, a drug alternative to the surgical abortion option, which is only performed in St. John's. The province covers the entire cost of the surgical abortions, which is $1,500, but doesn't cover the cost of the drug, which is $350. The letter says Newfoundland and Labrador is the only province not providing some form of coverage of the abortion pill, and the executive director of Planned Parenthood says that can be a big barrier, especially to people in rural areas.
You know, there are lots of people who are employed whose employers do not provide pharmaceutical coverage, who may not have health and dental benefits. And so this is exactly the same situation. We're creating an unequal class of healthcare that's accessible for people with money. It's accessible to people living in the capital city, but that is not our province. Our province is made up of many people living in a variety of places, and St. John's is, if St. John's is the only place that people can get access to abortion services, we're not providing equal health care to everyone.
Well, Health Minister John Haggie says funding this drug is not about cost, it's about quality. There's more to it than simply writing a prescription. He says the province doesn't have the proper support system in place to help women make an informed choice about terminating their pregnancy.
Because you're introducing a significant element of choice, and that decision has to be made on the basis of information. And what I have heard very clearly from the other stakeholders involved is that the counselling services that go before, during, and after a termination are really the main feature of the service I would like to be able to offer the women of this province.
So he says before universal coverage is approved, more counseling and educational services need to be put in place, whether it be through nurse practitioners or telehealth, so even women in remote areas have access to it. Reporting live, I'm Carolyn Stokes for Here and Now.
Parents that were against, I think they should kind of back up and say, you know, I'm sorry, I kind of overspoke myself.
One parent in Middle Arm is asking parents who opposed an inclusion presentation at the school to apologize.
More than half the students in a junior high class did not attend a presentation on inclusion and diversity. Find out why and what the presentation was all about. Welcome back.
Welcome back indeed.
In stereo here.
So I heard last night there was an up-and-coming weather presenter on the show that was featured.
Yeah.
Zachary,
your ears were burning.
Absolutely.
You were away.
Young whippersnapper.
Yeah.
His demo tape to replace you is what we said he was sending.
Yeah, that's right. So we had the picture last night. Tonight we have the video. And again, this is Zachary Hussey, who was playing me in a concert at St. Anne's Academy in Dunnville last night. Their concert, Rock and Roll Forever. Have a look.
And 2 days, Eddie Shear and CBC's Ryan Snoddon with the weather forecast.
Oh, so I heard CBC's Ryan Snoddon. That's the tall one on the left, right?
That's right.
And not the short meteorological nemesis on the right?
Who will remain nameless for tonight.
That's right.
But you are good buds with the same credentials, meteorologists. You all stick together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, Ryan.
They both did a great job.
Like the shades, too.
Yes. I'm not sure of the other young man's name, but hats off to both Ryan and Eddie there. So, yeah, they did a great job, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the concert. And thanks to Todd, who was Zachary's dad, for sending that in and giving us the heads up on that. Okay, so in terms of the weather forecast, I'm not sure exactly whether the forecast played out as to what Zachary was showing, but in terms of the weather forecast here, of course, everybody's looking ahead to the weekend, but a couple of days to get through first. And note the temperature contrast over eastern Canada right now. 2 in Moosonee, 21 in Sudbury, -2 in Lab City, 22 in Montreal, and where we find that warm air and cold air doing battle is where we find our next system. And as we look at the radar over towards Septiel and the Gas Bay region, you can already see that snow being picked up on the radar, and that is on the northern edge of this system as it runs into that cooler air. And that is the snow that's on its way for western Newfoundland, the northern peninsula, and up into southeastern Labrador. Generally, we're going to be seeing a coating here before that change over to rain, but the possibility, especially in some of those higher elevation areas of western Newfoundland and the northern peninsula, that we may squeak out 5 to even 10 centimeters. Of course, we're used to it this time of year, always a little bit of snow around the May long weekend. Looks like this year it's going to happen just before the May long weekend, which is the good news there. Now, taking a look at the wind gusts and the precip, so some breezy winds along the coast of Labrador tonight. Those ease off through tomorrow, and then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, that snow on the doorstep. Corner Brook -3, the Straits -2, few flurries possible through northern peninsula. I think it's further south than Happy Valley Goose Bay, but certainly the risk is there. It's a quiet and cool, crisp start for everybody else. Winds aren't too bad. Now watch as we roll through the timeline here. That snow works into the northern peninsula region, southeastern Labrador through the morning, starting to mix over for Corner Brook, Deer Lake, the Humber Valley, Bayvert, all likely seeing a little bit of snow on the leading edge of this, and then transitioning over to some showers. Into the afternoon, showers will march from west to east through central parts of Newfoundland. We'll see those flurries coming to an end in southeastern parts of Labrador, and those showers really don't arrive for Bonavista, Clarenville, the Burin, and the Avalon until the later parts of the day. Drive home, if not even a little bit later. And so I generally have a mix of sun and cloud icon for you here on the weather map for tonight. As we take a look at the west, again, it's that snow transitioning over to rain. We're talking about 6, 7 degrees for the most part. Could get as warm as 9 in Grand Falls, Windsor, but the clouds build in a little earlier there, so your temperature is going to be capped somewhat. And there's that snow in the southeast, some sun on the northern edge, but boy, this is cool. You should be around 9, 10 degrees this time of year in western Labrador, talking about highs near -4 as those winds in from the west really draw in that cooler air, which sinks in across the rest of the province for Friday. Friday is certainly clear out day, but it will be a cool one, and those winds gusting 50 to 60 will have it feeling a lot like it did today. Just a little bite in the air. Highs, though, anywhere from 3 to as warm as 7 degrees across most of the region. We'll talk about that all-important long weekend forecast coming up, Debbie.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, more than half a junior high class in Middle Arm was pulled out of attending an inclusion seminar set for the school. Only 13 out of 30 students at MSB Regional Academy attended the workshop. Some parents complained publicly they didn't want their children attending because of religious reasons. So what was the presentation teaching? It was organized by a group called Get Real. Marley Bowen is Executive Vice President of Get Real, who's originally from Norris Point, but now lives in Toronto. Well, thanks for joining us, Marley.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, what is Get Real all about?
Well, Get Real is a nonprofit organization based out of Toronto. Essentially, what we do is we run inclusivity workshops with middle schools and high schools across the country. We've spoken from Newfoundland to Vancouver, about 150,000 students across the country to date. And our program is really, about accepting one another, supporting one another, spreading kindness, and learning that, everyone is a little different. We all kind of have a story to share and a voice to be heard.
So what do you think of the decision by many parents to keep their children from attending Get Real's presentation, or as some called it, the gay class?
It's definitely not a gay class. I try to, say like, I don't know every single family, and, I don't want to judge, parents' decisions or, every family kind of thing. I think it is sad that the students didn't get to experience, what we do deliver in a classroom, and what we do deliver is something very positive. We really expose students to different types of people. It's all about learning and education. Definitely never tell a student how to feel or how to be. So it's definitely tough to see, such a small turnout, especially when we're only kind of in that area, once every couple of years.
What would the students, Marley, have heard if they'd been at that presentation yesterday?
Well, they would have heard two stories from two different people. One would have been from a transgender man who really shares his experiences, being transgender and what that's kind of been like for him growing up, and the struggles that he faced, in high school and in junior high, which is not having a lot of education on the topic. They also would have heard from a straight male who was adopted from Peru, and he would have talked about his experiences growing up in a white family, always knowing what it felt like to be a little bit different, but also knowing the importance of being kind to each other and supporting one another despite those differences.
So I understand there were about 13 students there. They got these very personal messages from two of the people with Get Real. Some of the people on social media, the parents said they didn't want their children, quote, indoctrinated by the liberal moral compass, and others cited biblical morals for keeping the students out. I'm just wondering, how common is this type of reaction across the country?
This reaction definitely isn't across the country. We've spoken to tons and tons of students. We've never had a reaction to this magnitude of that many students, being held back. In terms of like political views and that kind of thing, we're not a political organization. We don't talk about politics and religion within our workshop. Sometimes students do ask questions on religion, and, we say that our belief is that, all religions are rooted in love and acceptance and spreading that to other people. Those are the kind of things that we try to focus on. We're just about, embracing all different types of people, regardless of, who you are, how you identify. I think we can all agree on support and love for each other.
How discouraging is it to you, though, about what happened in Middle Arm?
It's definitely discouraging, but it also is motivating at the same time. I think it shows that, there's still a lot of work to be done. Maybe the message of, who we are wasn't necessarily shown to those students. But 13 students did show up, and 13 students did learn a lot yesterday. And I think it's also really important to kind of remember that, not just, there wasn't 0 people that showed up. There were some students that were there.
And I'm just wondering, you said maybe not everybody understood what you were all about. So what lessons have you learned as you go forward in talking in other schools?
I think a lot of, things were twisted yesterday online, especially on Facebook. Obviously people talk a lot online. I think rumors get spread. And I think the word of us, telling people to be gay or, being a gay class, things like that, I think that's definitely incorrect, and that's not who we are. In terms of moving forward, definitely just ensuring that people are aware that, we never tell students how to feel or be. And we do speak from our experiences, and I think that is really important for students to hear.
Marley Bone, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Someone could take the time to do it for our family. I'm going to take time to do it for others.
A happy ending made even happier. He's cancer-free, and this family hit another milestone. Stay tuned.
Has their beliefs, and it is a religious town, and I don't know why that's an issue, but it's not for me.
These kids are affected by it, whether the parents think it or not. Those ones that didn't go, those kids are hearing other things now. It's just a mess of confusion for these young children.
We've been talking tonight about Middle Arm and how several parents pulled their kids from school so that they'd miss an inclusion seminar that focused on the LGBTQ community as well as on racism and other diversity issues. It's the second story this spring from central Newfoundland involving homophobia. Last month, students asked the Springdale Town Council to paint a rainbow crosswalk in the town, but the council denied that request. And that's prompted a panel discussion in Mount Pearl this evening to talk about what supports can be offered to rural communities in our province. Charlie Murphy is with PFLAG Canada, a group that advocates for families and friends of LGBTQ people, and he joins us live now from Mount Pearl. So Charlie, what are you doing to help support the LGBT communities outside of the city?
Well, outside of the city, we're trying to do things like this panel tonight from 7 till 8:30, discussing ways that the community at large basically can help out and how they can support family members, friends, loved ones, your chosen family, people you might not even know and realize that are LGBTQ. And we do that kind of on a regular basis, maybe not at panel form, but we do kind of partner with outside groups to basically bring kind of that kind of insight to Royal and St. John's as well.
Right, we don't often see these kinds of panels on the other side of the overpass. So what's your sense of how the lack of resources in rural Newfoundland affects families in those areas?
Well, I think it impacts them a lot, especially the kids that are LGBTQ or the families that are in that community. I mean, it affects their mental health, their stability, their happiness, their overall, how they feel about themselves is entirely.
Right. Let's go to the Springdale story. How do you think that Springdale's Town Council's decision not to paint a rainbow crosswalk has actually shaped perceptions of friendliness here towards LGBT communities outside St. John's?
Well, I think that the whole Springdale incident actually kind of sparked some positivity when you've seen other communities kind of take that initiative to do it themselves and go paint 1 or 2 or 3 crosswalks or hang a flag. So I think even though that might have been a small negative impact with Springdale, I think overall it's a huge positive thing for St. John's right now and Newfoundland and Labrador in general.
And tell me, Charlie, is there a way to sort of address some of the conflicts that we see between perhaps people who live in the city and rural Newfoundland while at the same time respecting people's beliefs in religion?
Yeah, I definitely think there is, but at the same time, we look at sexual education in schools now, and I feel like when it comes to sexual education, LGBTQ issues are also at that front line, and they still need to be seen as ways and things that you have to look at from all perspectives. And yes, I understand religion definitely comes into play, but at the same time, like, it is a public school system, and this was a grant given to this campaign, basically, to get into schools and educate. And I think that's what we have to look at, is it's an education tool, not necessarily anyone stamping or coming to attack anyone's religious beliefs.
All right, well, your panel is going to start in 15 minutes, just at the end of Here and Now. Good luck tonight, and I hope that it produces a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And continuing on now, a Glovertown father has reached an ambitious fundraising goal to help pay forward the kindness his family received when a son was fighting cancer. Here Now's Megan Kwan has more.
Paul Orm has been waiting a long time to ring the bell of hope. Yesterday marked his 5-year anniversary of being cancer-free. But today, Paul and his father Dion had more than one reason to celebrate. The pair has raised $50,000 for the Children's Wish Foundation. Back in September, Dion asked his son what he wanted as a present for the occasion. He didn't get the answer he was expecting.
I couldn't understand why, of all things that he could ask for, wasn't something for himself.
He thought I was going to ask for a bike or something.
I did. I thought sure I was going to have to get a quad or something, but I lucked out, and he said he wanted to make 5 kids smile.
In 2013, Paul was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer at just 3 years old. The Children's Wish Foundation granted him a Disney cruise. So Dion took his son's request for 5 smiles to heart and committed to raising $50,000 for Children's Wish.
We said, well, if someone could take the time to do it for our family, I'm going to take time to do it for others.
Yep. And just last night, the pair reached their goal and couldn't be prouder.
As of right now, I am tickled right to death for all the hard work from everybody that did help, and from my son wanting to do this.
But Dion says it's not over yet. Paul has his own line of keychains now, and the pair will continue to raise money to bring more smiles to children. Megan Kwan, CBC News, St. John's.
What a wonderful story, and you can see it again and everything else on the show anytime you want. We're broadcasting live on YouTube. You can also catch past episodes on demand. Just go to YouTube and subscribe to CBC NL. We'll be back with weather right after the break. Welcome back, and it is time now to meet our young athlete of the day. This is Sophie Brooks. She's 5 and lives in Deer Lake.
Sophie is in level 5 figure skating with the Deer Lake Skating Club, and she started out in pre-can skate and quickly advanced through 5 levels and clearly been throwing flowers to her when she's on the ice.
I bet you that was the end of the year carnival that they had, ice show.
Beautiful.
Nice. She skates 3 times a week and, of course, loves it. She also enjoys swimming. Congratulations, Sophie.
It's getting to be crunch time now for people looking to the weekend.
For sure, and we will have some showers to contend with this weekend. It's not going to be wall-to-wall sunshine. It rarely is. Nope. But as far as long weekends go, it's not looking too bad, and let's see if we can time it out for you in a little more detail here. The heat is on. We are not going to be seeing anything as warm as they are seeing off to the south, but the thing we're watching off to the south is all of that rain over the southeast parts of the U.S. And this weather maker here over Florida and the southeast, this is going to be rolling up the eastern seaboard. That is our weather maker for the weekend. It's timing that out in terms of when it arrives and when it departs. That will, of course, have a big impact on your weekend. Here's how things will play out in the shorter term. This weather maker comes in tonight. Snow for southeastern Labrador, the northern peninsula. Even Corner Brook will likely see a little bit of snow early on, but it's a transition over to rain. Temperatures rise and then fall again on the other side of this cold front. Friday, another day kind of like today, where it's a cool and breezy one as this area of high pressure sweeps in and that west-northwesterly flow comes in behind. Quiet start to the long weekend. Saturday looks very nice. Area of high pressure will be in firm control. As we roll into the Sunday time period, I think it's generally a cloudy day. Shower chances will increase from southwest to northeast through the day. Labrador will be a little on the unsettled side, and in terms of snow, that will be our only potential for snow this weekend will be across the big land. By the time we get into the Sunday afternoon time period and into the evening, that's where our shower chances will really increase across the island. It looks like we'll also see a chance of showers from Monday over the southeast, although that's a little less certain at this point. So in terms of the forecast right now, we are talking about Friday looking like a pretty good day if you're getting a head start. Saturday, certainly the best day of the weekend itself. Sunday, increasing clouds. Again, showers into the west first, then central into the afternoon. A later day risk, certainly for Sunday evening at the very earliest, the very latest, I should say, for eastern parts of Newfoundland. But I think for the most part, it's a dry day. And then the shower chances again for the southeast and into central on Monday. Overall, not a bad weekend, but we've seen better. We've seen a lot worse for a May long weekend. And as we look into Labrador, again, some snow chances mixing in there for obviously for tomorrow and then again for Sunday. So we'll keep you posted on that over the next couple days. That is your forecast to now.
Filmmakers from around the world get passionate about fly fishing, so much so they've made a film festival out of it, and they're bringing it here. I'll be emceeing this event tomorrow night, right after Here and Now. It's at the Bruno Centre. You can check out these brief, beautiful films from Iceland to BC, from the Amazon to Quebec. It all starts at 7:30 tomorrow night, goes for about 2 hours. Doors open at 6:30. Tickets available online at flyfilmfest.com or at the door for $15.
And now we get to look at this wonderful picture. I was hot on it there because it's such a great picture. Any guesses?
Oh,
very nice. Yeah. Splash and sunshine.
I know those two rocks. It's a beauty, though,
and
wherever
we'll
it is.
Reveal where it was taken after the break.
welcome back once again. Well, calling all kids who love Lego and grown-ups who remember playing with all those colored bricks.
Well, some Lego masters have their creations on display at the Canadian Science and Technology Museum in the nation's capital. And Sandra Abma decided to go for a tour.
Take a look at Lego without limits. Thousands and thousands of little plastic bricks transformed into mysterious creatures, surreal situations, monstrous dinosaurs, and masterpieces from the world of art.
And this goes back to early on when I was practicing law.
In 2002, Nathan Sawaya left his job as an attorney in New York City to make art from his favorite childhood toy. Not surprisingly, he met with a lot of questions and resistance, but today his works are shown all over the world.
This has become one of my more iconic pieces.
Sawaya was 5 when he received his first set of Lego. A few years later, he learned that a bit of imagination and a lot of bricks could go a long way.
I wanted a dog, and my parents said, "You're not getting a dog." So what did I do? I tore down all my Lego sets, used the bricks to build myself my very own life-size dog.
Sawaya says that was a turning point.
When I realized, oh, it doesn't have to be what's on the front of the box. These bricks could be whatever I can imagine.
The artist says he uses hundreds of thousands of Lego bricks a month, and depending on the complexity, one work can take months to create, like this red gown that seems to float through the air.
The challenge is taking these rectangles, these little square and rectangular pieces, and getting that feel of fabric.
Sawaya believes that because his sculptures are made from materials that most people have played with or still have in a box at home, it makes the art both more intriguing and accessible.
The Art of the Brick runs throughout the summer until September. Sandra Abma, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, I feel that my little doghouse that I made is not exactly up there with that's incredible.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
That's so cool. I would love to go and visit there.
Yeah, how he could make movement out of those little blocks.
Right. Now, we've all had children. Have you ever had that experience of walking around the basement with no shoes on? And
yeah, ouch.
In the most tender part of the human foot?
I'm not there yet. Thankfully, we're at the big block stage, so you can kind of see and dodge those a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But as the kids get bigger, the blocks get smaller,
It's
right?
in your future.
Wear shoes.
Yes.
Wear shoes.
All right, viewer picture of the day. I know, a little challenging to try and guess where this was taken, but what a picture it is. And it was taken in Bonavista from a frequent contributor to the viewer picture of the day, Mark Gray. A great picture from Bonavista, and a nice sunset there. And what a moment to capture almost like the Lego man there.
Yep, stops the water, gets the sun. Beautiful.
Gorgeous. And I guess you're always looking for more of these shots, Ryan?
Absolutely, and they keep coming. Facebook.com/Ryan.Snoddon. Instagram, if you want to tag me in pictures there, it's a great way to get in touch, and of course, Twitter as well.
Right. Okay, so was it 3 degrees in St. John's?
Now, yeah, about that.
Yeah, I got a bike home.
Oh.
Seemed like a good idea at the time, Ryan. Seemed like a good idea
It'll
at the time.
put hair on your back.
See you tomorrow. Good night.
Oh, great. Good night.
With that vision, good night.
Poor Debbie.